Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board for April 13th, 2021 via Zoom. Okay, some business here before we get to our main agenda items. We have an extension request from Chris Bayless, 1294 Bristol Pike, Marsville, PA. Sent a letter in to the Zoning Hearing Board dated 3/15/21. I'm requesting an extension for the zoning variance decision on 7/10/07 for one more year until July 20, 2022, due to the problem that the sewage line at the property listed before 1294 Bristol Pike. Would someone like to make a motion to extend the variance for one more year?
I'll make that motion.
All right,
Okay, do we have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, so that has been granted for extension till July 20th, 2022. Okay, do we have our petitioners for number one loaded?
Have one of them in the room now.
Okay, is that everybody for this petition?
Yes, that's the applicant.
Okay, great. Okay, petition number one, Dionilda Almonte, 29 Echo Lane, Levittown, PA, requesting a dimensional variance to allow a pool within the front yard. Good evening,
Good evening.
Ms. Almonte. We're going to have you sworn in by our court reporter next. All right, the
Okay.
next voice you hear will be her, okay?
All right.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God?
I swear.
Could you please spell your first and last name, please?
My first name is Dionilda, Dionilda. My last name is Almonte, Almonte.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now, next, we're going to have some exhibits that are going to be marked for your petition, and then we're going to turn it over to you to tell us your side, okay?
All right.
Okay, give us a brief second here. Mr. Billy.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB 1, along with the accompanying statement from the applicant. 2 will be a permit denial letter from Falls Township dated February 22nd, 2021. 3 is a plot plan for the subject property. 4 is the impervious calculation sheet. 5 is 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 6 is the Zoom authorization from applicant. And 7 is the notification letters to the adjoining or abutting property owners as required, sent from Falls Township. 8 is proof of publication of the Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published March 30th, and then again, April 6th, 2021. That is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman, and I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied, and this matter can proceed.
Great, okay. Ms. Almonte.
Yes, sir.
If you could please explain what's going on with the pool.
So technically, I went to purchase a pool. I was told the requirements by the township. I just acquired this property on November. The pool is located on the side of the building. It's not located on the front rear of the building, so I didn't understand the denial. I did file whatever was told that I had a filing order, so it was the variance, and I'm looking forward to obtain the pool to be installed to just, it's something just to have fun with the kids, something to have a family environment, nothing to disturb the neighborhood or anything like that.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Amati. I am going to see if any of my fellow board mates have any questions for you, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, is this in the secondary front yard or this is literally in the front yard?
And that's for me, Mr. Bill?
What's that?
Yes, I see a request to put it in the front yard. But is this the secondary front yard or it does?
So
No,
it's
so
need to be the
so the-
secondary front yard.
The property is located on the side or the property is located on the corner of the street. I don't understand like how it's saying that it's located on the front yard. It's on the
Okay.
side of my, it's on the side of my property and it's behind the fence of the property.
So this would be secondary front yard you're requesting then?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not going in the front yard. All right, that's all I had.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, I see that there's some other property towards the back of the home behind the sheds, that the pool can't go back there.
So behind the house.
Yes.
So yes, the pool could be located there. I do have a shed behind the house. It was just a location that I initially picked because I had a couple trees. It was like 2 trees, but I removed the trees. So that was like a good location to be placed that I thought of. But I do have space behind. I do have a piece that is a cemented area and I have a half that is not cemented. So that's why the side of the property thing, to my opinion, was like better because everything is like still ground.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ms.
I may.
Amati, do you know if there's power lines hanging behind the house though?
No, there's no power lines.
Okay, great, no problem. Al, any questions?
No, I have none. I see exactly what she wants to do.
No?
I have none, Dan.
No problem. There's an existing vinyl fence that's big enough for pool code on the property?
Yes, the whole property is fenced all around. So
Okay, great. Yeah, if this were to be approved, you would have to make sure that the fence meets pool criteria and code, right?
okay.
Okay. Okay, do we have any public comments, questions for this petition?
We have no public comment.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion? for this
I got it.
petition?
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Nilda Amate requesting a dimensional variance from section 209-46 of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow a pool within the front side yard setback at the property located at 29 Echo Lane, Levittown, Pennsylvania, 19054 is depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Dan.
Okay, Scott, pull the board, please.
Bill,
Bill,
you're
muted.
muted, Bill.
Yes,
Myself, yes. Al,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, Ms. Almonte, the petition has been approved. You'll receive a letter from our solicitor's office about your next steps going forward, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, have a
If
good
that's
night.
what was needed for me, thank you.
Okay.
The next applicants are in.
Okay, thank you. Okay, petition number 2, Doug Van Auer, 153 Bedford Road, Fairless Hills, PA, requesting a dimensional variance to allow a driveway to be less than 2 feet off the property line. Good evening, Mr. Van Auer. Saying that
That's
correctly?
Van Acker.
Oh, Van Acker. Okay, thank you. And with you tonight, Mr. Cassell is with you tonight?
Yes, he's the homeowner.
Okay, great.
I'm the
gonna have
contractor.
I'm gonna have both of you guys sworn in by our court reporter next, okay? The next week you'll be yours.
Okay. Do you both swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Mr. Cassell, what is your first name?
You're muted, sir.
Joel, Joel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, we're gonna mark some exhibits for this petition, then we're gonna turn it over to you guys, okay?
And Mr. Chairman, just so the record's clear, it appears from the application and also the hardship letter that Joel Cassell is the homeowner at 153 Bedford, and also signed the application as the applicant is Doug Van Acker. Did I pronounce that correct?
Yeah, Van Acker. I'm the contractor, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure the record was clear. Okay, with that, Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal ZHP 1. 2 will be a letter dated 2/26/21 from the homeowner and also the contractor in regards to this petition. Now, letter from Falls Township. 24 is a site plan which was submitted with the application. 5 is an impervious calculation sheet. 6 will be the Zoom authorization signed by the applicant and also, I'm sorry, signed by the applicant who was the contractor. 7 are the neighbor notification letters as required. Those letters are dated March 29, 2021. 8, proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times showing that this matter was published 30th and then again April 6, 2021. 9 will be 4 color photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. That is all the board exhibits, and I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied. This matter can proceed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Billingmeyer. Mr. Van Acker, would you like to present this, or?
Sure. Yeah, I can do
Okay.
that. What we're trying to do is, I should say, all we're trying to do is the driveway is currently in the same exact location and no dimensional changes whatsoever. The reason for this project is the driveway is 60 years old. It's starting to crumble. I know the cars are in there. You probably don't see it on the pictures, but there's crumbling. It's starting to become a safety hazard. So the main reason for the project is just to, for safety issues, there's cracks in it. And there are no dimensional changes of what it is today. And I estimated to be about 60-year-old the driveway is. So that's pretty much our case. It's just for replacement whatsoever and no expansion.
So you're replacing the existing driveway and there's no change, it's already on the property line?
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
exactly where it is right now is exactly where we want to put it back. We just want to make it the same way it is. If you see any photos of that, that's what we
Yeah.
want to do. And
Yeah, we got the photos as well. Okay. Does Bill, you have any questions?
None.
Scott?
No, I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Absolutely not. I'm good.
Okay, Doug.
I have none, Dan.
Any public comments or questions?
We have no public comment.
No public comment, great. Would someone like to make a motion on this petition?
Oh, I got it. You got it, Scott? Good.
Yeah, I got it. I move the application of Doug Van Acker requesting a dimensional variance from section 209-43 1C4 of Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow a driveway to be less than 2 feet off the property line located at 153 Bedford Road, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, 19030, as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Scott, poll the board, please.
Yes. Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Van Acker. Thank you, Mr. Cassell. You'll get a letter from our solicitor about next steps, okay?
okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, have a good night. Thank you.
You too, probably.
Is this everybody for three?
All the applicants are in.
Okay. Petition number three, Lincoln Highway Storage LLC, Lincoln Highway, Marsville, PA, requesting a dimensional variance to allow building within the front yard. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. As I said, I'm having some trouble with my video, but as long as you can hear me, just checking to make sure I'm coming through clear.
Yep, we can hear you, Tyler.
Okay.
We're gonna have your witnesses sworn in.
Okay.
Okay, who do you have with us tonight?
We'll do our engineer, Donald Haas with Boja Engineering. I'm not anticipating any new testimony. If you give me a minute or two, I can explain kind of why we're here, what we're doing.
Okay,
And,
let's just have everybody sworn in case we
yep.
need them, right? So next
Got
person here will be our court reporter.
Okay, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Correct.
Could the witnesses just state their full names and spell them, please?
Donald Hawes, Haas.
Okay. Are you the only witness?
I imagine that he would
Okay.
be the only witness.
That's fine, Tyler. Let's we'll
Okay.
proceed like that. We're gonna have your the exhibits marked for your petition.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, are you
Hey.
waiting for me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I lost everybody for a second. I apologize.
You seem like you were cutting out. I wasn't sure if it was you or me.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB1. There's an accompanying hardship letter. With that, we'll also make that ZHB1 also. 2 will be the pervious calculation sheet. Four is a Zoom authorization.
Keith, you went out. What was 3?
I'm sorry. Three is a letter from my law firm regarding the prior approval dated December 16, 2020. 4 is the Zoom authorization that was signed by Mitchell Feldman, managing member. Are 3 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 6 is a certificate of service submitted by Tyler Prime, which all of the properties that were served notice of tonight's meeting. 7 is a site plan. 9 is proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published March 30th and then again April 6th, 2021. That is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman. I've previously marked the certificate applicant exhibit, and I believe that is all the exhibits. With that, I'm satisfied the appropriate notices have been satisfied, and this matter can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blakemeyer. Mr. Prime, all yours.
Thank you, everyone. Again, Tyler Prime, with the firm of Prime and Tuvell. I represent the applicant Lincoln Storage LLC. The site in question is located at 957 Lincoln Highway. We were previously before your board. It was December, I believe it's December 8th of last year. We obtained a use variance as well as several dimensional variances. And the reason we are here tonight is that one of our variances, which I'll get to in a minute, it was, what was it, to allow section 209-23G to allow building in the front yard setback. It was included in our public notice and our mailed notice, but it was missed in the property posting and it didn't appear in the notice of decision. In speaking with Keith, your board attorney, since we provided prior testimony to this point, we're just asking that the prior testimony be incorporated by reference. The makeup of the board, as I understand it, has not changed. And we just asked for an affirmative vote on the outstanding variance so that we could proceed with land development. I believe we're scheduled before the Planning Commission later this month. That's really it. The building, the improvements on the site are being demolished. It's a new state-of-the-art self-storage facility, if you recall. And we are moving, we're making the condition, the front yard setback condition better, but we are still encroaching and the variance is required. Like I said, you're incorporating the prior testimony, just trying to catch this variance, have everything buttoned up before we go to land development.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Prime. I believe I have a grasp of exactly what we want to do. Does any of the board have any questions about this? Scott?
I have none.
Yeah, Al?
No.
Bill?
None.
Yeah, Doug?
No.
No, we think we got it covered. Any public comments?
No
Questions?
public comment.
No. And this is not one of the ones, we did not receive anything from the public via the township?
That's correct.
Okay, great. All right, Mr. Prime, there's no more board or public comments or questions. Anything to close?
No, we've just asked for an affirmative vote, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, would someone like to make a motion for this petition?
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Lincoln Storage LLC requesting a dimensional variance from section 209-23G of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow a building within the required front yard at the property located at 957 Lincoln Highway, Marsville, Pennsylvania, 19067, as depicted on the plans and in accordance to the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Wait a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Scott, pull the board, please.
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
All the applicants are in?
Okay. Great. Petition. This is petition number 4 for Falls Township Fire Company number 1. Right. I wasn't sure someone was speaking there. 310 Yardley Avenue. Requesting a use variance to allow the fenced in rear of the property to be used to store stone slabs of granite and quartz for a tenant. Okay. Who is representing tonight for Falls?
Dave Schamberg.
Okay. All right. We're going to have everybody who's going to testify tonight sworn in. Next voice you
Sure.
guys will be our court reporter. If you could just spell and state your name going around for everybody who has been sworn in after you're done, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Any of the
Okay.
other, okay, so.
Yes.
Can you each please state and spell your full name? Start with Mr. Calvert.
Charles E. Calvert, Calvert.
Okay, Mr. Schamberg.
David Schamberg, Shanberg.
Okay, Walter.
Walter Myers, Meyers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to have our solicitor mark some exhibits for your petition. Mr. Billingmeyer?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB1, along with accompanying statement signed by David Schamberg. 2 will be a letter from Falls Township Fire Company to the zoning hearing board titled hardship letter dated March 1st, 2021. 3 is a denial letter from Falls Township dated March 1st, 2021 to Walter Myers. 4 is a letter to the township dated February 22nd, 2021, signed by Walter Myers. 5 is a letter from Falls Township Fire Company to Falls Township dated February 18th, 2021, signed by Mike McClellan, President. 6 is the Zoom authorization signed by the applicant or the applicant's representative. In this case, it was sent to David Schamberg and signed by Mr. Schamberg. 7 is the certificate of service sent by Mr. Schamberg, which attaches the properties that received notice of tonight's meeting. Mr. Schamberg, in regards to what I've marked as Exhibit 7, the properties that you have listed in the caption of each letter, they received a copy of this letter. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 8 will be 5 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 9 will be proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier-Times, showing that this matter was published March 30th, and then again April 6th, 2021. With all of that, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied the appropriate notice have been satisfied, and this matter can proceed.
Great, thank you, Mr. Billigmeyer. Mr. Schamberg.
Yes, good evening. Sorry, I think I may have lost my video. Now, I apologize if you can't see me. But again, thank you for your time. Nice to be in front of the board, and thank you for the board for your time and dedication. As we were in front of the board a couple months ago, over the past year and a half, we have been working with our realtor in trying to find the right partner, strategic partner for our back lot that we can rent out for the organization, which is critically important, and we think we have certainly found one. We would like to enter into a long-term lease with this particular tenant who's on the meeting here. And their business is in storing wholesale stone slabs and granite marble type slabs. Similar if you and I were to go and redo a kitchen and, you know, the slabs are stored in a particular yard. And what's really nice about this one is really like our hall, it's a minimal impact to the neighborhood. As far as traffic is concerned, something we're always very concerned about. And we certainly would love to have the opportunity to work with this partner and get approvals for this. And Mr. Myers, who will be our tenant, can explain a little bit further about the business if you would like and have any further questions.
Okay, Mr. Schamberg. We're going to open it up for our board comment.
Mr. Myers?
If they want to speak with Mr. Myers.
Yes.
I'm sure he can answer in turn about items about the direct business and what he plans on doing at the
Okay.
yard. Okay, we'll work it like that. If you think we're missing anything, please feel free to jump in. Bill.
What kind of equipment are you going to store there to move around these slabs?
So we're gonna have one F-550 for delivering our slabs to our fabricators to buy from us, and a forklift. That's it.
What kind of fuel is that? Propane or?
That's propane.
So you just have a small propane storage cabinet?
Correct.
All right. Would you have a problem if we approve this with only, that would state that you can only store slab stone in that lot?
Sure, absolutely.
And then one other thing, I know in the past, people complain about heavy trucks going through Fallsington itself. It would be any way you can make markings where the trucks coming out would go right and out of Fallsington instead of through right the center of the town?
Absolutely.
All right, that's
No
all I have.
problem.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Scott.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Al.
I have nothing, Dan. I'm good.
Doug.
Yeah, I don't know if I missed this or not, but you're not gonna have any customers coming through looking at slabs. It's just, you're just storing them there. The customers are gonna be looking about off-site.
Correct. So basically, I hit the streets and I stop at all the different fabricators, give them samples, and then they say I like it. I send them the slabs.
Gotcha. That's all I got, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah, no fabrication, no cutting of stone over there, nothing like that, right?
Nothing like that. No fabrication. It'd be a conflict of interest for us.
Yeah, just the transportation and the moving around with the forklift, the slabs. Cool. All right, no problem. Any public comments, questions?
We have no public comment.
Okay. And again, we've received no correspondence through the township via email or letter for this one either. So without that, Mr. Schamberg, anything in closing? You're muted. I'm not sure if you're trying to speak or not.
I was just going to say it's a fully fenced in yard. We're adding additional security to the perimeters. So we feel very comfortable in this business arrangement and appreciate the approval process.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schamberg. Would someone like to make a motion for petition number 4?
I'll make that motion. I move that the application of Falls Township Fire Company number 1 requesting a use variance from section 20921B of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow the fenced-in rear of the property to be used to store stone slabs of granite and quartz for a tenant at the property located at 310 Yardley Avenue, Fallsington, Pennsylvania, 19054, as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Dan.
Okay, Scott, pull the board, please.
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. You'll receive a
everyone.
letter from our solicitor about next steps, okay?
Great, thank you.
Thank you kindly. Have
Thank
a
you all.
wonderful evening.
You're welcome to Falls Township, Mr. Myers.
All the applicants are in.
Okay, thank you. This is petition number 5, 72 Hillside LLC, Hillside Lane, Fallsington, PA, requesting a use variance to allow the property to be used as a sober living environment where residential drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation services are provided. Alternatively, the applicant is seeking a determination that this use could be considered a group home under the provisions of the Fair Housing Act, which is a permissible use. Okay, Mr. Raleigh, we're going to have, do we have Mr. Raleigh here? We're going to have your witnesses sworn in. You're muted, sir.
Can everyone hear me?
And now, yes.
All right.
Okay, we'll have your witnesses sworn in now. The next voice you hear will be our court reporter. After everybody affirms the swearing in, if you could spell or state and spell your name for our court reporter in turn, that'll make things go a little bit quicker. Thank you.
Okay, do you all swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I can't hear anyone.
Yeah, Michael, you're muted. Mr. Goodman, you're muted. If you guys could unmute to swear and affirm, that would be most helpful.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
The witnesses need to state their full names and spell them, please.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties with the audio.
Okay.
Stacy, S-T-A-C-Y, last name Hill, H-I-L-L.
Okay. Michael,
Michael Tom, T-H-O-M.
Mr. Goodman,
John Goodman, Jon-Goodman.
okay.
Okay, and that's all your witnesses.
That's
Ron?
correct.
Okay, great. All right, now we'll have our solicitor mark the exhibits for your petition.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB 1, along with the document titled Addendum to Zoning Hearing Board Application for Variance. 2 is a letter from Kaplan Stewart to Matthew Takita, Falls Township Zoning Officer, dated March 23rd, 2021. 3 will be the Zoom authorization sent by Falls Township to the applicant's representative and signed by Mr. Raleigh. 4 will be 5 colored photographs, one of which shows the property was posted as required. 5 is proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published March 30th, again April 6, 2021. 6 will be the affidavit of service sent by Jessica Welch of Kaplan Stewart, contained within Exhibit 6 is an affidavit of service and also a list of the property owners that the notice was sent to. The form notice satisfies the requirements, which sets forth the time, date, and location of tonight's meeting. That is all the board exhibits, Mr. Chairman. I'm satisfied the appropriate notice have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Okay, great. Mr. Rowley, all yours.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dan Rowley. I'm with the law firm of Kaplan Stewart, and I represent 72 Hillside LLC, which is the applicant and the equitable owner of the property located at 59 Hillside Lane in Falls Township. And we're here in connection with the application tonight, requesting variance relief from the zoning code of the township, Falls Township. The property that is the subject of tonight's application is located in the LR Low Density Residential Zoning District and is currently improved with a 3-story multi-family apartment building with associated parking and related improvements. The building on the property was constructed in approximately 1900 and was subsequently converted into a multi-family apartment building. And this multi-family apartment building is a non-conforming use per the current zoning code. The property adjacent to the tract of land is 72 Hillside, which is also owned by my client. Pursuant to a use variance that this zoning hearing board granted at your January 10th, 2017 meeting, and is further amended at your March 10th, 2020 meeting, the 72 Hillside property is currently being operated by Daybreak Treatment Solutions as a sober living environment wherein drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation services are provided to the residents. My client is proposing to use the property at 59 Hillside in conjunction with the 72 Hillside property so as to form a single sober living environment campus operated by Daybreak Treatment Solutions, wherein residential drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation services will be provided to the residents. The residents who inhabit the sober living environment are individuals who are handicapped as described in the Fair Housing Act, and they have mental or physical impairments that substantially limit one or more major life activities and are in need of such residences as they recover from drug and alcohol addiction. The Fair Housing Act amendments require that municipalities make reasonable accommodations for individuals in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction in residential districts. In order to use the property located at 59 Hillside Lane together with the property located at 72 Hillside Lane, we are here tonight seeking a variance from Code Section 209-12B and/or reasonable accommodation under the FHA to allow this use in the LR district. This will be the same use that was granted for the variance approval for 72 Hillside Lane in the March 2020 decision. I also want to spend a minute and specifically explain the wording of our variance request. We're asking for a variance to allow a sober living environment where residential drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation services will be provided to the residents. We believe the proposed use meets the code definition of sober living environment, and this board has previously determined that to be the case as it relates to 72 Hillside. However, we have intentionally included the language, quote, where residential drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation services will be provided to the residences, end quote, for purposes of licensure. The property will be licensed by the state, and the state has specific requirements, a number of specific requirements for this licensure, and part of that is that the zoning approval for the property specifically allows for residential drug and alcohol treatment, and that's why we included that language in our application. Alternatively, we requested a determination that the proposed use could be considered a group home under code. We believe that this use would meet the code definition of a group home, but since the 72 Hillside was granted as a variance as a sober living environment with residential treatment, that is what we applied for. But we think it's worth noting that a group home is permitted in the LR district. So not only has a similar facility been approved here, but the code does contemplate that a similar facility is permitted by right in this district. Tonight I have with me William Stewart of Kaplan Stewart, who is representing the applicant in the purchase of the property, as well as Stacy Hill, who is the Vice President of Operations at Daybreak Treatment Center. As a way of some housekeeping before I bring Stacy to testify, I would like to begin by introducing Exhibit A1 into evidence, which is the zoning hearing board application we submitted. Exhibit A2 is a deed for the property. Exhibit A3 is a redacted agreement of sale for the property, which both show that my client has standing for tonight's variance request. Finally, the Exhibit A4 is a copy of the affidavit of service submitted on March 31st as proof that the required notification has taken place. And unless there are any questions of me, I would like to call Stacy Hill to testify.
I think that'd be appropriate this time.
Mr. Raleigh, before you begin, you stated you have several exhibits. I don't have possession of those exhibits. Is there a way that you can possibly email them to me so I can mark them and they become part of the record?
Yes, those were shared with the township. I believe they went to the zoning officer and Diane, but I can forward those to you as well.
Keith, I can email them to you right now.
Perfect. Yeah, if Diane hasn't, then we're set. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we will be referencing some more exhibits that were sent to the township. Is it possible for those to be shared on the screen at any point, or? Okay. Great.
Yes, thank you.
And one more thing, we're just trying to sort out audio issues. Can we just have a quick test? Can you hear Stacy? Stacy, can you state your name for the record?
Stacy Hill.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So Stacy, can you state your business address for the record?
Our business address is 1288 Veterans Highway in Levittown, Pennsylvania, 19056.
And can you describe your educational and professional background?
I have a bachelor's in psychology from West Virginia University from 1991. And also I went on to pursue my master's degree in clinical social work from Rutgers University. And I graduated in 2019.
And your professional background?
My professional background dates back to Just after my bachelor's degree in 1996, I began working for Plus New Jersey in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I worked in several different capacities, in clinical capacities, working with brain injured individuals, as a cognitive retraining specialist, as a case manager, as an administrator and operator of traumatic brain injury facilities in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And then I went on to serve as the Vice President of Operations for the greater part of my career with Plus Neurorehabilitation until 2010, at which time the company was sold to a larger organization, and I remained on with the new company after the business was sold from 2010 to 2014. And then I went back to pursue my master's degree in social work. And then I joined Daybreak Treatment Solutions in 2016 and have been with the organization ever since.
And Daybreak operates the facility at 72 Hillside, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And can you briefly describe Daybreak Treatment Solutions for the board?
Sure. Daybreak Treatment Solutions provides both residential inpatient and outpatient rehabilitation services for adults who are diagnosed with substance use disorders, so addictions to drugs and alcohol. We have 3 different locations. We have an inpatient detox in Levittown, Langhorne, which is the address that I described earlier, our business address at 1288 Veterans Highway. That is licensed as an inpatient detox. And then we have 72 Hillside Lane, which provides residential treatment and rehabilitation services. And then we have outpatient services in Yardley, Pennsylvania.
And as in your role at Daybreak, you're familiar with the facility at 72 Hillside Lane, correct?
Very familiar, yes.
And you're also familiar with both the existing conditions and the proposed use at 59 Hillside Lane, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible to show Exhibit A5 on the screen?
I don't know who
I'm
has
sorry, Mr. Riley, when
access to
you,
that.
yeah,
Is it
Mr. Riley,
possible to
when
show-
you,
Yeah, go ahead.
now, when you asked earlier if it could be, I thought you were asking, permission. We don't have the capabilities. If you wanted to show an exhibit, that's something you had to do on your end.
Oh, okay, so I can share screen. Okay, I can do that. I'm sorry, give me one moment here. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate you bearing with me here. So this, as I stated in my opening, Exhibit A1 is the zoning hearing board application, which was submitted to the township. Exhibit A2 is a copy of the redacted deed. Exhibit A3 is a copy of the redacted agreement of sale. Exhibit A4 is our affidavit of service showing notice. And Exhibit A5, which is the exhibit I was turning to. So going back to Stacy, I would draw your attention to Exhibit A5, which is on the screen, which shows an aerial photograph of 59 Hillside and 72 Hillside. And referring to this photograph, can you please describe the property at 59 Lane, which is the subject of this application?
Yeah, so the photograph shows the property at 59 Hillside Lane. It sits right off of Tyburn Road, which is a 4-lane highway. And then it shows that the property at 59 Hillside Lane shares Hillside Lane, the driveway, the street that Hillside Lane, the 59 Hillside Lane and 72 Hillside Lane are both on. And then it shows that the property at 59 Hillside Lane butts up against the property at 72 Hillside Lane. You can also see that, you can kind of see that there's, our property at 72 Hillside Lane is a gated, fully fenced property.
And Stacy, so 59 Hillside Lane has the red pin in Exhibit A5, is that correct?
Yes.
And 72 Hillside Lane includes this larger building at the end of Hillside Lane and encompasses a number of other related structures on the property, correct?
Yes. So 72 Hillside Lane, which is our current property, is has a large property with 3 acres or more, and has a main house, an apartment side. The main house is about 6,500 square feet, I believe, and the apartment side is about just under 1,000 square feet. And there's also a separate accessory building where clinical services are provided. And on both sides of the house and the accessory building are lots of open space and property.
And in the last number of years that Daybreak has been operating at 72 Hillside Lane, have you been aware of or monitored the condition at the neighboring property of 59 Hillside?
Yes, the condition at 59 Hillside Lane is very run down, dilapidated property with a gravel driveway. There's no fence around the property, or there's limited fencing around the property. No privacy fencing or anything around the property. It's very run down. It's very transient. There's 9 units, I believe, in the house at 59 Hillside, and there's a lot of different people coming and going. A lot of people that are not recognizable as perhaps tenants. Tenants come and go really quickly, and there's a lot of drug activity at the property, and there's a lot of police, fire, and ambulance activity at the property, particularly a lot of police at the property.
And are you aware of incidents regarding drug activity or violence that have happened at 59 Hillside in its current condition?
Yes, there's a lot of drug activity on the property. There's people throwing alcohol bottles over our fence. There's people trying to solicit our clients to use drugs with them. There was one incident in particular that I can recall vividly, where there was somebody stabbed in the face and pushed in front of our gate, and our staff had to call 911 to report the incident. But there's countless numbers of times that the police show up, and I'm not certain of the specific details. I believe we put in a request to know for records involving the specific number of incidences of police and other emergency phone calls and services that have shown up on the property. But we received a reply back asking for an extension because they couldn't get to the request in time, I believe. But there's been it's just a known drug house. It's very dangerous, and the individuals there are constantly roaming around the property, sometimes digging, just randomly digging in the dark, and just a lot of odd drug type methamphetamine type behavior going on there.
And in your opinion, does 59 Hillside in its current state pose a danger to the surrounding community?
Definitely poses a danger to the neighbors, to the community, to the police, and the first responders. It's just, I believe it's been, reported numerous times. I'm sure that you guys are familiar with, the responders having to go there and be put in harm's way and trying to, condemn or shut down the property. But I think people just keep re-inhabiting the property.
And you mentioned that 72 Hillside has a fence and a security gate. Is that partially in response to the activities at 59 Hillside?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. Our staff are sometimes afraid. We have cameras on all the locations that are permissible to us, showing all of our properties and the street where our property starts and our gate. But our staff, sometimes our staff makes rounds on our property at night and they're scared. We hear random, weird noises coming out of the property, human being noises that are just randomly digging and walking around the property and making random groaning noises. It's definitely a hazard. It's definitely a dangerous property, with the potential for, a first responder to get hurt, a neighbor to get hurt, if they haven't already been hurt. I don't know that.
And the purpose of today's application is to convert this existing nuisance property into a sober living environment that will be operated in substantially the same manner, and in conjunction with 72 Hillside.
Yes,
correct?
that is correct.
And let's take a step back for a minute and describe what services Daybreak offers. And it's my understanding that the sober living environment that's proposed at 59 Hillside is, and is currently operating at 72 Hillside, is just one step in a Daybreak client's route into recovery, correct?
Correct.
And can you just briefly describe what happens when Daybreak receives a client?
Yes, so when Daybreak receives a client, they, most of the time, they come through our detox, which is located at 1288 Veterans Highway in Levittown. We receive the individual there, and we monitor them to make sure that they're free from substances before they would be stepped down to a lower level of care, such as to Hillside Lane. We do an intake process. It includes a COVID screening currently. It includes a search of the person, a search of all their property that they bring with them, their luggage. Everything is washed and dried. We take away their valuables. We take away their personal items. Everything is searched, and the person, all their valuables, including their wallet, their driver's license, the keys to any vehicle that they may bring to the property at 1288 Veterans Highway, are confiscated and stored for them until they leave our program.
And after a client is fully through that intake process, what would then happen?
So after they're fully, so the intake process also includes, they sign consent forms, they receive a suicide risk assessment, they receive a thorough nursing assessment by a registered nurse, and then they receive a history and physical, and they receive a substance use disorder evaluation or psychiatric evaluation by a nurse practitioner or a medical doctor. And then we actually have them change their clothes. They change clothes into a sweatsuit that we provide, so that nothing can be hidden on their clothing or their undergarments, or their shoes or socks. And like I said, we search and wash everything that they bring in with them. And then we monitor them. If they come in with a 0 breathalyzer reading and a 0 drug screening, then they may be monitored for like 12 hours, and then they may go to a step-down level of care, which would either be our 72 Hillside Lane property or our outpatient facilities. But most times, we keep the individuals, especially if they have any drugs on their drug screen or any breathalyzer reading. They would stay at our detox facility for a minimum of 24 to 48-hour observation period. But most times, individuals that need our services for inpatient, they need our services for detox as well. So they'll stay at our detox for a period of time, from 5 to 7 days before they step down to a residential level of care.
And the next residential level of care would be a facility such as 72 Hillside?
Yes, that is correct.
And how long has Daybreak been operating the 72 Hillside facility?
Approximately, well, we've been operating under the use variance since 2017, but we've been operating for 13 months as offering residential rehabilitation and counseling services to the individuals at 72 Hillside Lane since the March 2020, I believe it was, variance that we were approved to deliver these services and provide these services at Hillside Lane.
And turning to Exhibit A6, is this a copy of the 2017 variance approval for 72 Hillside?
Yes.
And Exhibit A7 is a copy of the variance approval for 72 Hillside granted in 2020 that amended the previous variance to approve and include counseling services at the property, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And if the subject application is approved, the proposed sober living environment at 59 Hillside will operate in a similar manner as 72 Hillside, correct?
Yes, correct.
And can you please describe the types of residents who would reside at 72 Hillside?
The types of individuals would be adults with substance use disorder diagnoses that meet the criteria for residential rehabilitation and counseling.
And so going back,
And they would all be free from chemicals for a period of time. They would be, nobody would be coming to Hillside Lane intoxicated, in need of detoxification, or not in need of detoxification, but intoxicated. No one would be arriving at that location who was under the influence of drugs or alcohol for at least a period of, say, 48 hours. And nobody would be arriving there in their own vehicle.
and you said no one would be arriving there in their own vehicle. Are residences permitted to drive at all?
No, we take their keys, and their car is housed at our facility at 1288 Veterans Highway if they were to come to our detox location for the intake process with a vehicle. They would not be permitted to take it to 72 Hillside Lane, and their keys, they would not have keys or access to the vehicle.
And can you, so what treatments and therapeutic services for drug and alcohol addiction disorders are provided at 72 Hillside?
We provide a full structured day of group therapy, group counseling, and individual counseling that goes from, waking up in the morning until bedtime. There's a structured schedule there for wake up time, for breakfast time, and then for the counseling day to start, there's 7 group counseling sessions that go on throughout the day with some breaks for meal times. And then individuals receive a lot of counseling individually too throughout the day. There's counselors on staff 7 days a week, different hours of the day. There's a registered nurse, at least one registered nurse on the property 24 hours a day. And then there's support staff.
And these services are only offered to residents of the facility?
Yes, only residents of the facility.
And what's the average length of stay for a resident?
About 30 days.
And you've testified so far regarding the operations at 72 Hillside, but is it fair to say that these operations would be the same for the proposed facility at 59 Hillside?
Yes.
And Are these proposed sober living environments with residential treatment licensed by the state?
Yes, they're licensed by the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs in Pennsylvania, which includes a rigorous application process. We have to submit policies and procedures and organizational structure, and then a comprehensive physical plant or on-site inspection would occur before we would be licensed for before we would be licensed for use at 59 Hillside, similarly to what we went through at 72 Hillside. And then annually, we would be inspected on site, and it's usually a 1 to 2 day inspection process with 2 or more licensing surveyors that come on the property, and they review all of our electronic medical records for the individuals that have lived there over the course of the entire year, and a physical plant inspection where they look in every room and every bathroom and the surrounding property to make sure that everything is in good repair.
And is it fair to say that the proposed facility would have much greater state oversight than a typical sober living home without the counseling and residential services provided?
Oh, yeah. Currently, there's no state oversight to sober living environments in the communities, and there's a lot of oversight from the state with these. There's a list of incidences that have to be reported to the Drug and Alcohol Licensing Department, and they oversee all the operations and all. They have a website, and on the website they are constantly updating, different changes in policies and things like that, and you have to submit your changes to your policies and those type of things throughout the year. And then when they, before they come to your facility, you have to submit any policy changes to make sure that you're staying up to date with the current standards and things like that. And then they come on site to do your on-site inspection.
And is it fair to say that there are a number of unique physical conditions that render the property suitable for the proposed use, including the large acreage, the non-conforming multifamily building, the age and structure of that building, as well as the current state of the property?
Yeah, I mean, the current state of 59, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, the current state of 59 is dilapidated. It needs some updating. It needs some repairs. We would like to put a fence around the whole property and fence and make it, one entrance and one exit out of the property. So as to have a better traffic flow and to, be able to operate as one campus type setting.
And you mentioned the fence, turning to Exhibit A8, is this a rendering of a fence that would be installed at the property?
Yes, that's a fence that's similar to or very similar, exactly like the one we have at 72 Hillside Lane. We proposed, to make it more private, and more secure, so that we don't have people trying to come into our property. We would have cameras, so that we could view all of the property, and to make it as private for the other neighbors, the neighbors that are on 72 Hillside Lane, as possible.
And given the current state condition of the property, are there concerns that when Daybreak would take over the property, that potentially residents or visitors to the property as it currently exists would try to access the property in the future?
Yeah, we're a little worried that the current people living there, dwellers or tenants, if you will try to come back, as it's so known as a drug house for use of methamphetamines specifically, to my knowledge, that people will try to get back in and try to re-inhabit the property, even after we take over, while we're in the middle of, you know, some renovations to the property that are much needed, that people will constantly be trying to get back in and live there, and we'll constantly be trying to get them out. So we're gonna, you know, try to secure it as best we can with fencing and privacy and security cameras, and the like, so that we can, we have gone above and beyond, and we always have in all of our residential operations, to be good neighbors. And you know, 59 Hillside is not a good neighbor. They're not a well-run apartment building, and we are always good tenants. We have occupied 72 Hillside Lane for the greater part of 3 years, and we've done so in a residential rehabilitation capacity for slightly over a year, and have had next to zero complaints. We have had, I think, one phone call with some noise complaint that I still don't believe to this day that it was us, but we still went above and beyond to appease the neighbor that called from a backyard property, not a hillside property, and it was just jovial laughing, but we still, the complaint was that it was, our staff believed that it was 59 Hillside that was the complaint, that was the noise generator. But we haven't received any complaints other than that. I have always given out my cell phone number and my business card at previous hearings that we've had, and I always do that with confidence, because we do our best to be good neighbors and go above and beyond any residential neighbor that would be there, with doing some tree trimming and things like that. And I still stand the same promise that I would give my cell phone number to any concerned neighbors, that we will, you know, we will be the best neighbor, and we have staff that are awake 24 hours a day. So we're always vigilant of what's going on, and myself as an operator and administrator, I can access the cameras on my phone and do so all the time, so I can see what's going on at the property. And it's very well run. It's very well kept. The house is very well kept.
And do you believe the facility at 72 Hillside has had any adverse impact on its neighbors?
No, I believe we're an asset to the neighborhood. I believe we're, like I said, good neighbors who are vigilant and always have awake staff members. I don't believe that we're in any way a detriment to the community, and I believe the opposite. I believe that we're an asset and would be, I don't even know the word to use to say that we'd be such an asset and such a better neighbor than 59 Hillside. I can't even put it into words.
And in your opinion, and based on your experience, will the proposed sober living environment with residential treatment and rehabilitation alter the essential character of the neighborhood in which the properties are located, or substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property, or be otherwise contrary to public health, safety, welfare, or morals of the community?
No.
That's all the questions I have for Ms. Hill. I would just make a quick note on Exhibit A8. This is not part of what the fence, I should say, is not part of what we are proposing tonight, given that the property is a corner property on the corner of Hillside Lane and Tyburn Road. What we're showing here may need variance relief or some kind of zoning relief, but we show it to demonstrate, you know, some of the security concerns currently, and if we were to move forward, and what we are doing to secure, you know, this troublesome property. So with that, I'll open it up to any board questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. Okay, so do we have board questions for the testimony given by Ms. Hill? We'll start with Doug.
Basically, we're well aware of what you do at the other site, and I imagine that's what you're gonna do at this one. I have no questions at this time, Dan.
Okay, thank you. Scott? Scott? Okay, Bill?
I have a couple. I'm familiar with this facility and I agree that it is a nuisance place. It's 9 units. Do you plan on like making that, one unit with, I don't know how to describe it. Like it's 9 separate entrances to these areas where normally you would have like one area or one entrance that goes to all your bedrooms or whatnot. Are you keeping this as 9 separate units or are you gonna try to merge it back into one whole unit?
We're gonna do that. We haven't been able to access all the property, because of the condition and the tenants or nobody has keys to all the tenants. Nobody will let us in. There's angry pit bulls seemingly, occupying some of the, so our intention is to be able to fully supervise everybody in there from one area and walk through without it being 9 separate units. Yes, like, I just don't know if structurally we'll be able to do that. I believe that's our intention. So I think we'll know more once we open it up.
You're gonna have fun with that.
Right, so.
Bill, I just want to give you a heads up. There's 8 units. There's 6 units in the big building there and 2 above the garage. Just to give you a
Yeah,
heads.
that's right. You go up the steps and there's 2 at the top of the garage, right? And
Yes.
I forgot. I used to deliver pizza there when I was young and it was horrible then. So I know. No, I think that this facility definitely would be better than what we have there. It was basically like a slumlord, for a better word. And, you know, at least the building would be brought up to code and safer for the community. I agree with that. That's all I got.
Thanks, Bill. Al?
Yes, Stacy, now, at the last hearing, I believe a neighbor was questioning about the amount of traffic that would increase on that street. Do you guys plan on using the entrance right off of Tyburn and connecting both properties that way? Or do you plan on going down the street and using the main entrance at your gate? What's your guys' idea on that? Like making a driveway around the building, making it, I heard you guys gonna merge the properties, make it one property. But do you
Yeah,
guys,
we want to do whatever is best for the neighborhood and for the community. And, you know, I don't think we've fully made a decision on that yet.
Okay.
I think like I said, we try to be good neighbors and work with the township and work with the neighborhood. So we would do whatever we were permitted to do and whatever works best for the traffic flow.
And if I can just take a stab at answering that
Sorry,
as well.
I don't know who's speaking. I can't see. With the
Sure,
picture
this is-
up on the s-
yeah, get rid of the screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, you
share.
want me to, okay, I'll stop sharing.
There we go.
All right, can everyone see me now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me take a quick stab at answering that as well. The 59 Hillside and 72 Hillside are still separate addresses, parcels, so there would have to be, you know, if that were to happen, you know, there would have to be easements, things of that nature, which we're not proposing at this time. There is the security gate at 72 that we mentioned. So we're still planning on utilizing that at this point.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Scott?
I have no questions at this time, Dan. Thank you.
Okay, yep, I have no questions. Mr. Rowley, your next witness?
So I have with me Michael Tom. We were not planning on bringing him to testify unless the board wanted to hear additional evidence, but
Yeah, if it didn't become pertinent through board questioning, then I don't know that we need to have any further testimony then.
I would agree with you.
Okay. We did receive correspondence through the township that I think it would be necessary to add into record. Matt?
Yes, I received an email from Michael and Susan Davidson on Tuesday, April 6th, 2021. And I'll just read the letter into the record, if that's okay.
Yep.
Matthew, this letter is in response to petition number 5, 72 Hillside LLC, 59 Hillside Lane, Fosington, PA, 19054. As residents of Hillside Lane, we are very disappointed with Falls Township that we were not notified by mail regarding this variance. In the past, variance requests regarding building changes were mailed directly to our homes. Approved use of 72 Hillside Lane as a sober house got past our attention, and 59 Hillside could have gotten past just as easily. Unfortunately, we have a previous commitment the night of the 4/13/2021 hearing, so we would like it to be known how disappointed we would be if this variance was approved. We understand the need for such group homes, but the history of 72 Hillside Lane does not warrant approval for a second facility on the same street. Clearly, the standards to maintain one of these facilities do not require a great deal of accountability or oversight. Falls Township Police, EMTs, and fire company volunteers can all attest to the fact that they have been called to 72 Hillside for fights and overdoses. This is not how any taxpayer wants to see their tax dollars being spent. This is also not behavior we condone in our neighborhood. Please consider carefully before you give use variance approval to 72 Hillside LLC that could risk our home values, the safety of our young children attending the Fosington Elementary, William Penn Center, and Calvary schools. And last, but certainly not least, the hardship of this approval puts our first responders at unnecessary risk. Find it in your hearts to protect the citizens of your township and your first line responders and deny this variance. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Michael and Susan Davison.
Thank you, Matt. Were there any additional live public comments?
No, there's no public comment.
No additional public comment. Okay, great. Okay. Pardon me. All right, Mr. Rowley.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm just giving the opportunity, I guess, to either react or respond, I guess, maybe to the letter received or.
Sure. So just in quick response, it's my understanding that the property owners that were in that email are not on the Hillside Lane that we are discussing. They're on the Hillside Lane on the other side of Tyburn Road, which is a 4-lane highway and has substantial traffic. So we don't think they are sufficiently affected by this application. We did confirm with the township that all notice was given that was required. And I think you've heard testimony here tonight that 59 Hillside, as it currently exists, has very frequent emergency services and police that are visiting that property. So we believe that these residents may be confusing the two.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just so the record's clear, Mr. Takita, the address that's listed on the letter that you read into the record, did they provide an address?
I believe Mr. Takita's muted. I'm not sure if he's speaking or not.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Matt.
Yep.
The Davisons did not provide their address on the email.
Okay. Because I just want to make sure that we're not a party who is supposed to receive notice of tonight's meeting. I know they said they're unavailable. I don't know if it would have mattered, but if they should have received notice that they're an adjoining or abutting property owner. I do have the list of parcels that Mr. Raleigh has submitted in the packet. I just can't tell whether or not they were supposed to receive notice.
We did review this in the office when we received the email and confirmed that they were not on the list and improperly so.
Properly, okay, thank you, Mr. Tequita.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If I could ask a question of Ms. Hill, in that letter, it was referenced that there was multiple fights and has emergency services had to be called to 72 for overdoses, fights and things of that nature?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe there was a couple medical emergencies, but like I said, there's nobody using substances. There's not been a fight or an overdose, certainly.
There's some incendiary remarks made about the facility that may or may not have been direct. I just wanted to be able to clear the air on that and give you a chance to speak to it.
Yeah, so I think they're either confusing, as Dan suggested, that they're confusing the facilities. Or, I mean, maybe back before we were providing residential rehabilitation services, there was certainly less oversight and less supervision, so it could date back to 2017. But since we've been supervising the property and offering residential rehabilitation and counseling as the variance uses have granted us, there have been no such occurrences, I assure you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Rowley, I'm sorry, is there any further board comments, questions in light of the letter?
I have one.
Sure, Bill.
So, this new, we'll call it a home, is considered single residence. So you'll have a house manager at that house during the day? All right.
There'll be all the same staff that are there now. There'll be some additional staffing, but there'll be staffing in the house, on the property, 24 hours a day.
So when you have clients there, you always have a house manager on duty?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
As well as a registered nurse, 24 hours a day.
And a registered nurse, yeah.
Correct.
You stated that earlier, thank you.
I
Scott, any-
reconfirm that, that's all.
Thank you. Scott, anything further? No, Al?
No, Dan, I'm good.
Thank you. Doug? Just wanted to give you guys an opportunity in light of the letter, and additionally, outside testimony. Okay, Mr. Rowley, anything in closing or anything else you'd like to add in the record?
No, I believe we've covered everything in our testimony. I would just ask that our exhibits be accepted into the record.
Okay. Thank you. And you'll email those over to Mr. Billingmeyer, correct?
I received them from Diane Bray. Thank you.
Okay, great, awesome, thank you. Okay, I think it'd be appropriate at this juncture to see if anybody would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. Before we do that, can we just confirm that there's no public comment, no further correspondence received, just so the records
Yep,
abundantly?
I think we asked for public comment, we didn't receive any, and Mr.
Okay.
Tequita, there was just the one correspondence?
That's correct.
And no public comment.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. You got it, absolutely. Okay, so now would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the
Thank you.
motion, Dan. I move that the application of 72 Hillside LLC requesting a use variance from section 209-12B of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow the property to be used as a sober living environment where residential drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation services are provided at the property located at 59 Hillside Lane, Fallsington, Pennsylvania, 19054, as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Dan.
Okay, Scott, if you can pull the board, please.
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
You as well. All right, great job.
Okay, now we're clear. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Dan.
You have a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, all.
All right,
Good night,
everybody, have a
Steve.